Good evening, Mr. Ghuraiya. Welcome to the Festival of Marketing by BW Marketing World.
Thank you.
So, lovely session. We have a few set of questions for you.
Sure.
Let's start with them. Um, so brands are blurring the lines between entertainment and marketing these days to attract more and more consumers. What is your take on this?
See, I think consumer is the king, and you have to bend the rules as per the consumer's taste and preferences. The entire media ecosystem has been planned in such a way so that it can attract more and more consumer. It has given the power to the consumer to get the remote to change the channel or skip the ad. And now even on digital channel, there is a button called skip, and you can skip the ad. So power is in the hand of the consumer. So then marketers or advertisers has to find another way to engage or reach out to your consumer. So if advertising is one of the way, but we cannot be just stuck with the advertising that I can only run a 30-second advertising in between the content to attract my advertiser or attract my consumer. So hence we need to find different ways to engage my consumer. And that's where the entertainment or branded content or creating content or content marketing as the entire marketing funnel comes into the picture. So hence marketers or advertisers need to create content which is engaging enough where you can also entertain the consumer and at the same time subtly integrate your product and deliver your message in such a way that it's not a pure play vanilla advertising but a piece of content which he or she would love to absorb and consume.
Exactly. Okay. So, as a marketer, how do you balance the short term performance marketing goals with the long term brand building goals in the festive season especially?
See, every time for any brand or any marketer, we always have some objectives that we are chasing on. Now, depending on this life cycle of our brand, there could be some short-term objectives, there could be some long-term objectives. Short-term objectives could be like if I'm having a new product launch or if I'm launching some other campaign, I want to build the awareness around that particular product. Long-term goal is usually building your brand loyalty, building your brand engagement, building the sales and everything. So around the festive season, I believe that the one challenge which always happens that people do focus completely on the seasonality and stay away or divert away from their core messaging, which I feel is not the right way to do that. You always have a long-term view about your brand. You stand for something, you have a promise, you have a proposition. Even your festive advertising should be specific to your or should add up to your long-term goal. It cannot happen that my long-term goal is something different, but my short-term goal is something different. It has to add up to it. So even for my festive marketing, whatever tactical advertising or the communication peg I'm using has to link back to my long-term goals or something which I stand for or what is my product's proposition or the promise that I have.
Okay, makes sense. So, as we know, the festive season is coming. Brands will be on the top of the games and they will be advertising. The advertising will go on the peak. So, as a marketer, what would you suggest those brands to stand out in that rush?
Honestly, I'm no one to advertise other brands, but I think the situation as a also a fellow advertiser or a marketer, I think in the clutter it always happens is that if your creativity or if your creative power is much more than the competition, you will able to stand out. What is happening increasingly is that we are working harder on the performance marketing or we are working harder on spending money on generating those leads and generation, and somewhere the creativity has been compromised. That's my personal view. It could be completely different, but what creativity does is that it makes your media dollar work harder for you. So if I'm spending the same amount of media dollar, but if I have a better creative or if I'm using a narrative or a messaging which is much more stronger, my media dollar will work much harder for me and it will make me stand out from the creative. So just by increasing the media spend is not the solution. It also needs to be supported by a good creative messaging.
Okay, so my last question to you would be, as a marketer, what would you advise the young generation, young professionals joining the marketing sector?
Yes, I mean we were discussing about that. That yes, it's the great time to be a marketer, and I honestly believe that it's a great time to be a marketer because what's happening is that product lines are blurring, right? The entry level for any business or creating a brand is blurring. What will make you stand out, what will make you grow, is the marketing as a function which will come into the picture. The lines between sales and marketing is also breaking. The marketer is now increasingly wearing the hat of a salesperson. In the digital ecosystem, it's the marketer who is actually selling the product. The sales function is usually acting as an operational function or a department. So I think the marketing dynamics are changing so interestingly. It is a very interesting time for all the young marketers to come and be participative because we are also at an influx where the new technologies are going to take over. What AI is coming into the picture, what metaverse is coming into the picture. What these technology are doing is they're acting as that you can start from. If you are good with AI, you will cross 5 years back, a 5 years hurdle. You are suddenly 5 years up into your corporate journey, because someone like me or maybe little older people who does not have much awareness about AI, I will increasingly depend on those younger people who understand AI much more in a better way. So there will be demand of those young people who understand those technology, or because these are natively digital people. They have spent their life on, they're born with the smartphone, they're living their entire life on smartphone. So I think there's a good opportunity for the young marketers to join to the bandwagon. The only advice I will give to all the young marketers, if because of my, let's say, experience, is that we should keep the marketing simple. Consumers do not buy things that they do not understand. Now sometimes what happens is that in our hunger to talk about that, okay, I can do this kind of marketing to maybe justify our job, to prove a point to our bosses, to justify our hard paying salaries, we overcomplicate things. That I'll do chat GPT, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do that, and you overcomplicate things which consumers will not understand. So try to keep your marketing as simple as possible, and that's my only submission, advice, suggestion to all the young marketers who's trying
That
to
was quite
join.
insightful. I hope the young professionals get something out of it and learn a lot. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
your time, sir.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.